What's up? I hope this video finds you well. So, in my mind, I feel like, well, I don't feel like it's the truth. 2020 has been such an eye-opening, life-changing year for literally the whole entire globe of Earth. I really wanted to make a video that says like, December 31st, like 2020, like the last day of the year. Because again, in my mind, I'm thinking back like there's a kid in the future somewhere that's like scouring the internet for anything that he can find on. He's doing a report on the year of 2020. Maybe he'll come across this video. So if you're that kid, like, what's up? I see you. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube in general, so I wanted to shed some love and light and, a little bit of like inside scoop on how 2020 actually was. I'm going to really try to stay on the positive side here, okay? There's also a movie that I recently watched. It's called Soul from Disney and Pixar. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. I am going to give away some like spoilers because I want to compare how these lessons in Soul, the movie, really are brought out in 2020 and like what we can learn moving forward into 2021 and the years coming as well. So if you haven't seen the movie, Soul is about a man in his like 40s, I'd say, and he is in love with jazz. He's a jazz musician at heart. Like that is his purpose. Like he lives and breathes for music. He's a band teacher, like a grade school band teacher or something, right? He's not very happy. His career isn't as amazing as he imagined it to be, right? And we can all attest to that at some point, I'm sure. One amazing lesson that is right in the beginning of the movie, really. One of his former students who he taught music to, the student fell in love with music. He's a drummer for a very prominent saxophone player. Saxophonist. Yeah, I think that's right. He calls his teacher Joe, who's the main character, and the teacher like, hey, I have this gig, like, are you available? And he was like, yes, like, oh my gosh, this is like my moment. Like, I've been waiting for this. And the lesson behind this little bit is that, Joe is so enthralled in music and absolutely loves it, right? And he shares that passion with his students. And this particular student really took on and felt that love that he had, and it became his own. And I think in 2020, this is so important because when we do things that light us up and like just fill ourselves up with love doing something, or sharing something with other people, we are sharing our love and we are inspiring them to find their passion and their joy is what life is really about. He, again, a little spoiler, but he accidentally dies. Okay, he like falls in a hole in the middle of New York. Like that probably is a real thing. And he finds himself in this other dimension, and he's like, where the heck am I? Oh my gosh. He realizes that he's dead, and he's like, I cannot be dead. Like the gig that he got from a student, like that's tonight. Like I need to go. Like this is like my moment. I've literally been waiting my whole life for this. So he ends up figuring out, he like pretends to be this mentor for all these little like balls of light. Basically, they're just they're like lives without souls yet. They haven't found their purpose. So these mentors go into like this take them into this like place where there's just all these things that they can try until they find their purpose. Then they can kind of have their path to earth. And this particular little ball of light, her name is 22, and she's been there for like a long time. It's so funny because she's like, I've had mentors like Mother Teresa, Albert Einstein, Gandhi. She doesn't want to leave because she doesn't think life on earth is worth it. And she's like, I have my routine, like I'm happy here. And she's like always giving her mentors a hard time. So Joe somehow, because they don't know he's there, it's like this weird thing, like they don't know he's there, finds like a name tag, and he's like the mentor. And she, 22, ends up helping him get back to his body. Takes him to this other place with these other people, and they find his body, and he He's in a hospital bed with a therapy cat at his legs, and so he like goes in too quick. She 22 ends up in his body, and he ends up in the cat's body. So they're like freaking out. They're like, running around trying to escape the hospital. One lesson that is really, really amazing here is that she, this is the first time she's ever been on Earth. And she's like finding the joy in every single second. She's like looking at the trees, and like a little helicopter leaf, you know what I'm saying? Like fell on her hand, and she was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And she's like rolling in the grass. She's like rolling on the streets of New York, while Joe, who is the cat, right, is like, we need to go. Like, we need to switch back. Like, this is my gig is tonight. Like, I need to make this gig, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. He's like freaking out. So what's so amazing about this is like, for us earthlings, we take for granted like the earth. We take for granted what it is and means to be alive. Like, almost, probably every day, right? Unless you really work on it. I think even for Joe, he was like, wow, like it was just a very like awe moment, because he realized she had never been on Earth before. So what I'm taking away from this little lesson from the movie is that every single moment is truly a gift, because we're living and we're on this amazing Earth that like we are the same elements of, right? And it's up to you, it's up to us to make every single moment mean something, and like live in the present moment, because this is all that we ever have, is the present moment. He does end up getting his body back. That means that 22 has to go to the other dimension, and she ends up becoming really, really depressed, and just so sad, because Joe kind of lashed out on her because he was like, this is my life, like you don't have a purpose, and like all this stuff. So, and that's why these little balls of light try to find things to love, because once they find their purpose, then they can go to Earth. Joe goes to his gig. He makes it on time. What else is funny too is like, when she's in his body, they go see his mom, and they like talk to other people he knows, and she is just like being very straight up, like herself, but they think it's Joe still, because it's like his voice and stuff. And he was almost like amazed to watch how disconnected he was from the people in his life. And I think this is a huge lesson for 2020 with COVID-19 and quarantine. Like, I think everyone really took a hard look at themselves and was like, I can't talk, was like, wow, what am I doing exactly with my life? Like, I'm disconnected. So I think for Joe, seeing himself like from the outside was very enlightening, and I think it's something that we can all really identify with, right? He gets to the gig. I'm kind of going on tangents. He gets to the gig, and he ended up like being a little late, and so she actually hired somebody else, and he's like, no, like this is like, you need me, this is my time, like please let me play. And she's like, okay, fine, the saxophonist. So he plays. It was amazing. Like, the crowd loved it. He was like on cloud 9. He was in the flow, is what they're calling it. After the performance, he goes, like, he steps outside with the saxophonist, and she's like, you're hired, like, see you tomorrow night. And he was just like, what's next? Like, now what? He's like, I've been waiting literally my whole life for this moment, and I thought I would feel different, but I actually don't. And she tells him this awesome story. She goes, listen up. There's this little fish and a big fish. The little fish goes to the big fish, I want to find the ocean. And the big fish is like, you're in the ocean. And the little fish is like, no, this is just water. And the big fish is like, no, you're in the ocean. But the little fish was like, no, whatever, I need to find the ocean. And this is another huge lesson that I believe we learned in 2021 or 2020, is that life is now. Like, you cannot wait until you have that job, or you make that much money, or you achieve a certain goal. Like, the point of life is to live, and you actually aren't going to feel any different when you get to that point. This is something I've been working on myself like so much in 2020 because we kind of had the space to do so. Quarantined, we couldn't go anywhere because like restaurants were shut down and life was pretty much shut down as we knew it. Although economically that wasn't the best, but I think spiritually it really opened our eyes to see like, okay, life is happening now. What I also love is that Pixar and Disney made most of the characters black, and I think it's very powerful and needed for black people to be represented more and for the younger generations to see themselves. And really, after 30 seconds, you know, you start getting into the story and you start really identifying with Joe and his life, and you start feeling his pain, and you start connecting to him as a human being. Doesn't matter what his race is. And another huge lesson of 2020 is that we are all human. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. We can celebrate each other for being different, but also recognize that fundamentally we are all the same. We want to be loved. We want to be able to, you know, be happy and raise a family if that's what you want, and just be successful in any way that is like what you decide, right? And 2020 with Black Lives Matter and the social justice movement in America specifically definitely opened up people's eyes, at least I hope. And there's still a long way to go for sure, but you know, this is nothing new either in America. But every step forward is a good one, so let's keep the ball rolling. So those were just a few points that I really loved about the movie and kind of how they compare to 2020, and just some lessons that are really important so we can go into 2021 and, you know, the years following with more of an understanding that life is about living. It doesn't matter really like what you're doing. You are worthy just by living. And I forgot. Forgot about this. This like the climax basically. Joe ends up finding 22 when she's like super depressed, like all this stuff, and he's like, because she's depressed because she doesn't believe that she's worthy of living a life on earth because she didn't have a purpose, right? And or she couldn't find it anyways. And so he finds her and is like, 22, like the purpose of life is to live, like, and you were living, like you are worthy, like please, like just you're going to be okay, I promise you. And so she ends up like, you know, coming out of her depression, which again we've all also felt in 2020. We felt isolated and like nervous, like we didn't know what was going to happen, right? So I think many people can attest and identify with 22's lack of self-worth and just like the unknown, right? She ended up becoming like better, getting out of her little funk, and she gets her badge to go to Earth. And you know, it's amazing, like it's just a very happy time. So she ends up going to Earth with a purpose as a, you know, living life on Earth. People who are like in charge of the other dimension, excuse me, actually give Joe another chance to live. He goes back to Earth and you know, you like see him walking out the door and being like, I'm gonna live every second like it's my last. Like it's just a overall deep story about, again, what life is really about. It's about living. It's about being happy with your own passion, like bringing that out and showing it to other people and sharing your gifts with others, because you are going to inspire somebody else, just like Joe did with his student, and then that student got him the gig of his life. So you really only get what you give. We were all very lonely in 2020, and I think we were also more connected than ever, hopefully, right? Not like forever as ever, but we found a way to stay connected. And I have had some lows of 2020, but now I'm feeling very hopeful for the future. It was wonderful to see a black man as the main character, and you know, really at the end of the day, we are all the same. It's just a skin color based on where, you know, our ancestors came from, so they could live their best life and adapt to the environment they were in. Well, that was amazing to see because we need more black and brown representation in the media, and this is exactly what they're doing, what Disney and Pixar did, so which is great. It's up to you to live in the present moment, knowing that every single second of the day is like amazing when you decide that it is. And with that comes like meditation and just taking your life into your own hands. And I know sometimes it's hard and I know that it's easier said than done based on, your upbringing or where you live and like the government sometimes too, right? But when you have faith, I'm just coming that out. So thank you for watching this little video. I really wanted to make a very last video of 2020 because it was an insane year full of very low times, but also a time of reflection and just deeper meaning and knowing of life and what it's really about, and like anything could be taken from you at any second, and also there's so much joy in the little things as well. So that's all I have for you. I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you are happy, and if not, something's got to change. We have one life to live, and this is it. This is it. Comment below. I'd love to know your comments and your thoughts on this video, and I will talk to you soon. See you next year.